You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Here are 7 times villains were right, starting with Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda.
And when the boy showed talent in Kung Fu, Shifu trained him. He believed in him.
Years of dedication. And who was chosen? An overweight panda who could barely climb stairs, and who, until yesterday, was frying noodles.
How's Shifu ever gonna turn me into the Dragon Warrior? I mean, I'm not like the 5. I've got no claws, no wings, no venom. Even Mantis has those thingies.
Exactly. Po, just Po, the guy who trips, breaks everything, and falls into the chair. Tai Lung was right there, ready to fulfill his destiny. Oogway saw the darkness, but who created that darkness? Shifu did. He filled Tai Lung with hope, raised him like a son, and when the moment came, he bowed to the master's word. He didn't defend his own son.
I loved you too much to see what you were becoming. What I was turning you into.
And when Tai Lung returns, he isn't chasing power, he's chasing recognition. He wants proof that a lifetime of sacrifice meant something. He wants the one thing that was promised to him.
Oh, not your fault! Who filled my head with dreams? Who drove me to train until my bones cracked? Who denied me my destiny?
And taken away. He was right. The injustice wasn't that he turned evil. It was that his dedication and talent were discarded in favor of a cosmic joke. Tai Lung wasn't the villain. He was the hero of a tragedy. He only wanted what was rightfully his. And in the end, Po only won because he didn't know how to fight. It was ignorance defeating excellence.
No. Wait.
It should have been me! It should have been me! It should have been me!
But moving on, Chef Skinner from Ratatouille completely snapped because of a tiny, talented rat. He was a dedicated professional, fighting to preserve Gusteau's 5-star legacy, struggling under the pressure of a restaurant in decline, until a literal rodent decided to invade his kitchen.
Do now!
Kill it!
Now?
No! Not in the kitchen. Are you mad? Do you know what would happen to us if anyone knew we had a rat in our kitchen? They'd close us down. Our reputation is hanging by a thread as it is.
Yeah, that's not being a villain. That's being a responsible manager. Imagine a health inspector walking in and finding a rat running the kitchen. Skinner was just trying to prevent a health code violation that would shut the place down.
Chef Gusteau's cookbook, Anyone Can Cook, climbed to the top of the bestseller list. But not everyone celebrates its success.
Amusing title, Anyone Can Cook. What's even more amusing is that Gusteau actually seems to believe it.
Anyone can cook? Sure, Gusteau. But does that anyone include a rat? Let's be honest. If someone told me a rat was cooking my food, I'd call the police too. He was one step away from losing everything.
I think you are a sneaky, overreaching little...
Rat! Get the rat! Shut
Play
him
Willy!
down!
Get something to happen!
I get you, Skinner. He was intimidating, sure, but at least he was honest about the health risks. He only became a villain because of his greed, but when it came to the rat, he was the only sane person in the room. He was right to want that rat out of there. And moving on to Evelyn Deaver from The Incredibles 2, behind the facade of a successful businesswoman lies a far darker philosophy. At first you think, that's an overreaction. She's just angry because her parents died. But then you stop and really think about it. Is she actually wrong? She watched the world grow dependent on superpowered beings, losing the ability to solve its own problems.
No answer. Superheroes had just been made illegal. The robbers discovered him on the phone and shot him. So...
Or Dad could have taken Mom to the safe room as soon as he knew there was trouble.
I disagree strongly!
Exactly. Where is individual responsibility? Society became passive, waiting for the next superhero to fix everything. She didn't just want to villainize heroes, she wanted to kill the dependents. She wanted people to be active again, to stand on their own.
But you can count on me anyway.
I'm supposed to, aren't I? Because you have some strange abilities and a shiny costume. The rest of us are supposed to put our lives into your gloved hands. That's what my father believed. When our home was broken into, my mother wanted to hide, begged my father to use the safe room. But Father insisted they call his superhero friends. He died. Pointlessly. Stupidly. Waiting for heroes to save the day.
She felt abandoned by the system and decided to prove it was broken. Her point was simple. If you rely on a crutch for too long, you'll never learn to walk on your own. Heroes had become humanity's crutch.
And while she postpones her defeat, you eat chips and watch her confront problems that you are too lazy to deal with. Superheroes are part of your brainless desire to replace true experience with simulation.
It's a pessimistic view, but it's hard to say she doesn't have a point. Where is our proactivity when we sit back and wait for someone special to solve everything for us? She was right to question that passivity, but of course that doesn't justify her methods. And speaking of doing what must be done, Henry J. Waternoose from Monsters, Inc. He wasn't death itself, but the threat he faced was the death of an entire civilization and the sanity of its people.
We know the challenge. The window of innocence is shrinking. Human kids are harder to scare.
Of course, MI is prepared for the future, with the top scarers, the best refineries, and research into new energy techniques.
Now, villains usually have complex motives, but Waternoose? He was just trying to save his company and Monstropolis. The city was facing a severe energy crisis. Kids weren't scared anymore, and the power was running dry. And here's a crucial point. In our world, a lot of things work without us fully understanding how. That kind of ignorance protects us. It keeps us sane. In a way, Waternoose wanted to do the same for Monstropolis.
I have no choice. Times have changed. Scaring isn't enough anymore. But kidnapping children? I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die.
Yes, it sounds terrible, but he was desperate. If Monsters, Inc. collapsed, the city would collapse with it. He didn't see children as victims. He saw them as a resource. He believed he was serving the greater good, even if the methods were questionable. He wanted life to go on as normal, even if, behind the scenes, the truth was dark. He was trying to protect the illusion of stability for the population.
I hope you're happy, Sullivan. You've destroyed this company. Monsters Incorporated is dead. Where will everyone get their scream now? The energy crisis will only get worse because of you.
He wasn't a traditional villain. He was a businessman who saw his legacy and his community at risk. He was right to be desperate. He just couldn't see the better solution. Laughter, right under his nose. He was right about the crisis, wrong about the solution, but driven by a motivation that, in his mind, was for the good of everyone, to preserve order and protect the sanity of a world that didn't need to know the ugly details. And speaking of not knowing, let's talk about Sid Phillips from Toy Story. He wasn't a villain. He was a curious, creative kid. And yes, a little destructive.
Whoa, Scott, hey, boy! Sit. Good boy. Hey, I got something for you, boy. Ready, set, now!
But who wasn't? We look at that and think, what a monster. But he was just playing. To him, they were inanimate objects. He didn't know they were alive. Every kid takes toys apart, mixes and matches pieces. Sid was a natural inventor, an artist of the bizarre.
Extremely dangerous. Keep out of reach of children. Cool. What am I gonna blow? Man. Hey, where's that wimpy cowboy doll?
Exactly. It was just a child's play. He wasn't torturing living beings. He was exploring his imagination with what he believed were just plastic and metal. And the trauma Woody and the others inflicted on him, that was cruel.
We toys can see everything.
So play nice.
Imagine the shock. As a kid, you suddenly discover your toys are alive, and they've been watching you. That's years of therapy right there. He didn't deserve to be traumatized over something he couldn't possibly have known. He was just a kid who liked to experiment. And speaking of something essential, but often avoided, let's talk about Pitch Black from Rise of the Guardians. He isn't a destructive villain. He's a force of nature, the darkness that reminds us why the light matters.
And look at her. Precious child. So sweet. So full of hope and wonder. Why, there's only one thing missing.
a touch of fear.
We think, what a monster, but he's not wrong. Fear warns us of danger. It teaches caution. Without fear, we'd be reckless. He didn't want to erase hope. He wanted balance. Light only has meaning because darkness exists.
Maybe not. But you are afraid of something.
You think so, huh?
I know so. It's the one thing I always know. People's greatest fears.
Exactly. He's the embodiment of something inherent to the human condition. The Guardians wanted a world of pure joy, utopian, and dangerous. Fear is a teacher, a protector. All he wanted was for children to believe in him, not to terrify them, but to understand that fear has its place.
Meanwhile, everyone wrote me off as just a bad dream. Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no such thing as the boogeyman.
He was forgotten, ignored, and that made him bitter. But his essence is necessary. A world without fear is a world without caution. He was right in his premise, even if his methods were extreme. He was the dark reminder that life is fragile, and that darkness will always exist. And to close things out on a high note, let's talk about Death from Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. She isn't a villain, she's a consequence. The personification of the reality that Puss in Boots, in his arrogance, refused to accept.
Death. And I don't mean it metaphorically or rhetorically or poetically or theoretically or in any other fancy way. I'm death, straight up.
She wasn't there to be cruel, she was there to do her job. Puss in Boots wasted 8 lives recklessly, treating each one like a joke. He mocked his own mortality. And when death appears, she isn't angry, she's offended by his lack of respect for life.
Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death. Bounty hunter.
So I've heard.
Yeah, he laughed, but Death didn't find it funny. She was simply collecting what was due. If you throw away 8 lives and treat the last one like a game, can you really blame her for showing up to wipe that smile off your face? She didn't want to kill him out of cruelty. She wanted to teach him that life isn't a joke.
Death, straight up. And I've come for you, Puss in Boots.
She wasn't a villain in the traditional sense. She was a force of nature, a brutal reminder of mortality. Puss needed to learn how to value life, and Death was the only one who could teach him that lesson. She was right in her mission. Puss needed a reality check to stop being a reckless hero and become a true one.
But I don't see him anymore. Live your life, Puss in Boots. Live it well.
In the end, death isn't the end. It's what teaches us how to live. She was right. Only death could make Puss understand that life has value because it ends.